Hello and welcome from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next 30 minutes, China drops peaceful reunification of Taiwan in a government report delivered by its premier at the opening of the National People's Congress, hikes defense spending by 7.2% in its annual budget. India issues an advisory to its nationals in Israel to relocate to safer areas in the country a day after an Indian worker was killed and two others injured in an anti-tank missile attack launched from Lebanon. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar addresses Diplomatic Academy in Seoul, says India-Korea partnership can emerge as a significant factor in the Indo-Pacific and beyond. And Germany's defense minister says Russia is trying to divide his country and trust in Germany among NATO allies remains unbroken despite the serious mistake of the military audio leak. China has toughened its stance on Taiwan, dropping the mention of peaceful reunification from Premier Li Qiang's government work report at the National People's Congress. The work report also mentions about China's long-term plan to support prosperity and stability in Hong Kong and Macau and resolutely opposes Taiwan independence, separatist activities and external interference on Taiwan. China plans to raise its defense spending by 7.2% this year, marking a continued surge in military budget growth during Xi Jinping's tenure. The Chinese premier in his address said that China is intending to bolster its military over the next decade and is aiming to be prepared to win a war.
We will adhere to implementation of the Chinese Communist Party's overall policy for the new era on resolving the Taiwan question, stay committed to the One China principle and the 1992 consensus, and resolutely oppose separatist activities aimed at Taiwan independence and external interference. We will promote peaceful development of cross-strait relations and be firm in advancing the cause of China's reunification. By deepening integrated cross-strait development, we will improve the well-being of the compatriots on both sides of Taiwan Strait so that, together, we can realize the glorious cause of national rejuvenation.
The Philippines on Tuesday alleged that China's Coast Guard engaged in risky maneuvers, resulting in a collision between a Philippine Coast Guard ship and a Chinese vessel. This was during a resupply mission for Philippine troops in the South China Sea. China's Coast Guard responded to allegations by stating that it took professional and restrained, reasonable and lawful actions against Filipino vessels that unlawfully entered waters near the second Thomas Shoal, a contested atoll in the South China Sea.
The Chinese Coast Guard took necessary controlled measures against the Philippine vessels in accordance with the law, and the on-site operation was professional and restrained, reasonable and lawful. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has lodged solemn representations with the Philippine side and expressed strong protest.
Japan has expressed its concern over possible threat posed by China's rapid military expansion. Japanese Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi called China's military expansion a serious concern for Japan and the international community.
China's military trend are a matter of serious concern to Japan and the international community. This marked the greatest strategic challenge to date in ensuring the peace and stability of Japan and the international community, and in strengthening the international order based on the rule of law. I believe we should respond by leveraging our comprehensive national strength and cooperation with our allies and like-minded countries.
The cargo ship seized in January this year from a Pakistan-bound ship can be used for military purposes, according to a DRDO report. On the 3rd of January, India's security agencies had seized a Karachi-bound ship from China over a suspected consignment for Pakistan's nuclear weapons program at Navi Mumbai's Nhava Sheva port. Now, the DRDO has also submitted a report to authorities over the matter. According to the report by the Indian Defence Research Organisation, the seized large-sized computer numerical control or CNC machines are dual-use equipment and can be used for military applications. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, on an official visit to South Korea, spoke at the Korea National Diplomatic Academy on broadening horizons India-Korea partnership in the Indo-Pacific. Dr. Jaishankar highlighted that India-Korea partnership is significant, but even more so when we consider its impact on the Indo-Pacific. India's External Affairs Minister expressed confidence that by broadening horizons, the India-Korea partnership can emerge as a significant factor in the Indo-Pacific and beyond.
India-ROK partnership is significant, but even more so when we look at its impact on the Indo-Pacific. Now, why is it important that we work together? Part of the answer lies in the opportunities of the emerging world, especially those pertaining to new technologies. But some of it also refers to the stability and the predictability of the international economy as a whole.
Dr. Jaishankar also addressed the Indian community in Seoul and spoke of India-Korea relations.
Today, the partnership between India and Korea can be a very different partnership. A partnership which will be much more useful, much more important, and of a much higher level for both countries. So that's really been, in many ways, what my meeting is about. And in this, a large part of it is those areas where for some years now, maybe for some decades now, Korea has already made a name, and where now India is also, in its own way, also establishing a presence. So when we speak today about telecommunications or semiconductors or renewables or electric mobility or green technology, there are really today big capabilities being built in India. And those capabilities today actually give us the ability to forge partnerships.
Earlier in the day, Dr. Jaishankar held a meeting with Prime Minister of South Korea, Han Duck-soo, in Seoul. He appreciated South Korean Prime Minister's positive sentiments for ties between India and South Korea and valued his guidance ahead of the 10th Joint Commission meeting scheduled for Wednesday. Dr. Jaishankar also met South Korea's Trade, Industry and Energy Minister An Do-gyeon in Seoul. The two leaders held wide-ranging conversations over trade and economic cooperation set at the heart of the India-South Korea partnership. And India's External Affairs Minister also held discussions with think tank representatives of the Republic of Korea, highlighting increased exchanges as convergences between the two countries continue to grow. After concluding his visit to South Korea, Dr. Jaishankar will travel to Japan from the 6th to the 8th of March for the 16th India-Japan Foreign Ministers Strategic Dialogue. The Indian government on Wednesday issued an advisory to Indian nationals living in Israel, urging them to relocate to safe areas within the country. In a post on X, the Indian Embassy in Israel said, in the prevailing situation, all Indian nationals in Israel, especially those working in or visiting border areas in the north and south, are advised to relocate to safe areas within Israel. The embassy remains in touch with the Israeli authorities to ensure the safety of all our nationals. The Indian Embassy also shared a hotline number of the Population and Immigration Authority of Israel. The advisory came a day after an Indian citizen was killed while two others were injured in Israel in a rocket attack or a missile attack that took place from Lebanon. And the Israeli embassy in India on Tuesday also expressed deep shock and sadness at the death of an Indian national in northern Israel in an alleged terror attack. It said, and I quote, "We are deeply shocked and saddened by the death of one Indian national and the injury of two others due to a cowardly terror attack launched by Shia terror organization Hezbollah on peaceful agricultural workers who were cultivating an orchard at the northern village of Margileo yesterday early afternoon. Our prayers and thoughts naturally go to the families of the bereaved and those of the injured. End quote. Now, Hamas negotiators will remain in Cairo for another day at the request of mediators, keeping ceasefire talk going after 2 days with no breakthrough, an official from the militant group said on Tuesday. The Cairo talks have been billed as a final hurdle to reach the first extended ceasefire in the war between Hamas and Israel, a 40-day truce during which Israeli hostages would be freed and aid pumped into Gaza ahead of Ramadan, which is due to begin at the start of next week. Meanwhile, India has strongly condemned the humanitarian crisis that has deepened due to ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas. Speaking at the United Nations General Assembly briefing on the Gaza crisis, India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ruchira Kamboj, reiterated that India is committed to supporting a two-state solution. She also urged scaling up of all humanitarian aid that has been going to the people in Gaza immediately.
India has a long-standing and uncompromising position against terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. There can be no justification for terrorism and hostage-taking. As such, we demand the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages. It is imperative that humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza be scaled up immediately in order to avert a further deterioration in the situation. We urge all parties to come together in this endeavor. India has provided humanitarian aid to the people of Palestine and will continue to do so. India is committed to support a two-state solution where the Palestinian people are able to live freely in an independent country within secure borders with due regard to the security needs of Israel.
Germany's Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said on Tuesday that one of the participants on the military call on Ukraine had dialed in via a non-secure line and disciplinary measures were being looked into. The Defense Minister also said that Russia is trying to divide Germany and that it would take technical and organizational measures to ensure such an incident does not happen again. He further said trust in Germany as a NATO partner remains unbroken.
It's a mistake, a serious mistake, which was made here and which should not have happened. The secret discussed, as far as I am aware, are manageable. I would put it that way, but it's up to the lawyer to decide that. No matter what else come up, and I don't know if something even worse pops up, which right now I don't expect, but if that is not the case, I will not sacrifice my best officers for Putin's game. To make that very clear.
Putin Spielen opfern, das sehr deutlich zu sagen.
So that's a spat between Germany and Russia triggered by the Ukraine conflict. And now let's talk about the conflict itself. Ukrainian military intelligence on Tuesday said its sea drones damaged a Russian Black Sea Fleet patrol ship off occupied Crimea. The intelligence agency said on social media that a Ukrainian special unit attacked the Russian ship worth $65 million near the Kerch Strait. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's chief of staff said that the Russian Black Sea Fleet is a symbol of occupation and cannot be in Ukrainian Crimea. The Russian Defense Ministry said on Monday that its forces hit US-made fighting vehicles in Ukraine, while Kyiv said it had attacked Russian battlefields. Russia destroyed 2 tanks provided by the United States to the Ukrainian army, 4 infantry fighting vehicles, Ukraine's ground control station of unmanned aerial vehicles. That's what Russia claimed. However, Ukraine armed forces claimed that 63 combat engagements took place in the past 24 hours, with Ukraine launching attacks on multiple Russian personnel and military equipment and air defense systems. The European Union on Tuesday adopted defense industry strategy and a new defense investment program for a drawn-out standoff with Russia. The new strategy is aimed at better sharing resources and supply chains among EU members while smoothing out bottlenecks and providing more financing. EU Industry Chief Thierry Breton said that the determining factor in the war in Ukraine had shifted from which side had the biggest weapon stocks to which side has the capacity to produce more, and EU members need to maintain an industrial balance of power. And there's more to come in this edition of DD India Live. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi lavishes projects worth around $2.36 billion during his Odisha visit. Millions are polling in over a dozen American states on Super Tuesday to choose their Republican and Democratic presidential nominees. And India's Sumit Nagal wins on Indian Wales debut, reaches final qualifying round.
That never stops, where information shapes our reality. One app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles, and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger, and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science, and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Odisha, an eastern Indian state on the Bay of Bengal, on Tuesday. During his visit, the Prime Minister inaugurated and laid foundation stones of development projects worth over 19,600 crore rupees, which comes to about $2.36 billion. The projects related to sectors including oil and gas, railways, road transport, and highways, apart from atomic energy. The PM also flagged off several train services in the state. These include the launch of a new train between Puri Anand Vihar Terminal, a new train service between Paradeep and Kendu Jhargarh, and a new container train.
ओडिशा के संसाधन राज्य की औद्योगिक ताकत और बढ़ाए, इसके लिए केंद्र सरकार यहां आधुनिक कनेक्टिविटी पर भी बल दे रही है। पिछले 10 वर्षों में इस दिशा में अभूतपूर्व काम हुआ है। बीते 10 वर्षों में हमने ओडिशा में करीब 3000 किलोमीटर के नेशनल हाईवे बनाए, रेलवे का बजट करीब 12 गुना बढ़ाया है।
Also addressing the event, the Prime Minister hailed the centre's efforts for the development of states in eastern India, especially Odisha. Addressing the 24th edition of FICCI Frames, India's Minister for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Mangal Prabhat Lodha, said that skilling and upskilling is the future of India. A report, FICCI EY Reinvent, India's media and entertainment sector is innovating for the future, was also launched at the event. Eminent personalities, namely Indian actress Rani Mukherjee, Anant Goenka, Vice President FICCI, and Vice Chairperson RPG Group, were also present, gracing the occasion. Sanjay Jaju, Secretary of Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, said that the digital media segment is witnessing a huge growth of 30% year-on-year, emphasizing the government's policies for its tremendous growth.
Digital media segment is witnessing a growth of close to 30% year on year. That's again huge. Friends, large number of initiatives are being taken by the government of India and all the state governments in the union to promote the media and the entertainment sector. If I have to cite few, the recent amendments which have been done in the Cinematograph Act 1952 will provide for a strict penalty against film piracy, something that was actually being demanded by the industry over the years. At the same time, the national AVGC policy, which is a pivotal component when it comes to creating initiatives that bring in Create in India, is now in its advanced stage.
Secretary of Ministry of Information Broadcasting also said that the ministry is laying special stress on foreign films which will be made in India and that there are multiple co-production treaties with several countries.
Foreign films to be made in India. And recently a scheme has also been announced in which incentives are being given to foreign filmmakers to make films in India. And we've also been having co-production treaties with multiple countries to ensure that we get big budget international films coming to our country. And this would not just help in bringing in investments, but I think this will also help us create cross-country linkages and also catapult us to showcase our power as our soft power amongst the global community of nations. We also have large number of film festivals. You're aware about the International Film Festival of India, the Mumbai International Film Festival, and you're also aware about the participation that we do in various international film festivals. All this is being done to promote the Indian media and entertainment industry and to showcase the cinematic culture to the world.
In an exclusive conversation with DD India's Deepika Mahato, young and dynamic participants of the National Youth Parliament Festival 2024 thanked the central government for giving them an opportunity to participate at such a prestigious event and also talked about the importance of youth in democracy. Listen in.
We have with us the youth of the country who are representing different states. Well, 29 participants are here participating at this very unique event who are representing the different states and union territories of the country. Let's talk to them. When we talk about this particular festival, how does it motivate you? And please introduce yourself first.
Hi, my name is Pushkar Agarwal. I am representing Assam. I stood second position in the State Youth Parliament Festival. First of all, it highly motivates everyone because at the district level, first you will compete with the others who belong to your district.
Which state are you representing?
I'm representing Delhi.
What is the unique thing that you've added to the overall look and feel?
Okay, so very first of all, Delhi is Dilwalo ki Delhi, the capital of India. So Delhi has all the mixed culture. I have this Chanderi dupatta, I have this Kolhapuri chappal, I have this watch, I have this Turkish good luck charm. So overall, I have tried to include most of the cultures that I can include in my attire.
We have an equal representation from women also. You are there from Bhavnagar, Gujarat. How has the journey so far been for you?
It's just a beautiful journey, just like this 3 days are just like a heaven because we are staying, as he said, in 5-star hotel, and the youth of our ministry has given us such a beautiful opportunity to represent our state.
When we talk about the sort of experience, because this is National Youth Parliament Festival, what are the key learnings that you are taking away from here?
Well, first of all, we're learning so much about our culture. Just being here in the parliament, we are here in the central hall of the old parliament. This is where the constitution of our country was written. So just the heritage, just the history, when you learn about it, when you experience it, so that's why it's a huge encouragement for the youth of India, I believe.
Thank you so much, sir, and all the government agency and whole the government of India.
Thank you.
And there you heard the entire youth which are representing different parts of the world, states and union territories of India, in showcasing diversity, how beautiful the democratic setup of India here is. They are all set to represent their states at the National Youth Parliament Festival's 5th edition. With camera person Pramod Negi, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from New Delhi.
Millions of Americans are heading to the polls on Tuesday in more than a dozen states to vote for their preferred presidential candidate. Super Tuesday, as it's known, is a defining moment in the campaign, and this time it could make Donald Trump the presumptive Republican Party nominee to take on Joe Biden again for the White House, as DD India's Benji Hire explains.
Well, it's upon us, the biggest day of this year's primary battle, one that could ultimately decide the candidates for the presidency. Donald Trump leads that race for the Republicans. The former president, vying for the Oval Office for the third time, is in pole position. On a rocket, he says, to clinch the nomination, having won all but one of the contests in past weeks. And on Tuesday, Super Tuesday, he's the favourite to take all 15 states, leaving his rival for the nomination, Nikki Haley, with a potentially irrecoverable deficit. The former South Carolina governor and former US ambassador to the United Nations is vowing to stay in the running for now. Mr. Trump was given a major boost this week after the Supreme Court here in Washington ruled he can remain on the ballot. Some states have tried to get him barred for inciting an insurrection following the 2020 election, which he lost. He faces multiple criminal trials related to those efforts to overturn that election and his alleged mishandling of classified documents, having pleaded not guilty to those charges. Despite vocal opposition from his own Democrat Party base, incumbent Joe Biden, the current resident of the building behind me, is set to win his primary votes. Polls show, I should say, a November face-off between him and Trump would be very tight. In Washington, Benji Hire for DD India.
And the US Supreme Court handed former President Donald Trump a major victory as he campaigned to regain presidency in this year's elections. The Apex Court on Monday ruled that states cannot exclude Trump from voting ballots. The ruling reversed a decision by the Colorado Supreme Court that Trump was ineligible to appear on the state's ballot because of his role in the January 2021 Capitol attack. The former president has called the judgment a big win for America.
I want to start by thanking the Supreme Court for its unanimous decision today. It was a very important decision. We're very well crafted, and I think it will go a long way toward bringing our country together, which our country needs. And they worked long, they worked hard, and frankly, they worked very quickly on something that will be spoken about 100 years from now and 200 years from now. Extremely important. Essentially, you cannot take somebody out of a race because an opponent would like to have it that way. And it has nothing to do with the fact that it's the leading candidate, whether it was the leading candidate or a candidate that was well down on the totem pole. You cannot take somebody out of a race. The voters can take the person out of the race very quickly, but a court shouldn't be doing that, and the Supreme Court saw that very well.
Sports now, and ace Indian tennis player Sumit Nagal brushed past the challenge of American wildcard Stefan Dostanic in straight sets in his first outing at the Indian Wells Masters. The India #1 beat Dostanic in straight sets 6-2, 6-2 in the first round of the qualifying on Monday. Nagal took 68 minutes to emerge winner without facing a single break point in the entire match. By making the final qualifying round, Nagal assured himself of 10 ranking points and $14,400 as prize money. Nagal will take on Seong Chan Hong in the second qualifying round on Tuesday. And that's all we have for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X as well as Instagram. We'll be back with more news and updates as a break here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.